Imagine a scenario where the undisputed king of the jungle, a wild apex predator, develops a crippling addiction to sugary soda. He abandons his natural diet, chugging carbonated drinks to digest his meals, until his lethargy threatens the entire ecosystem. This level of modern absurdity sits in sharp contrast to the stories we grew up with. For centuries, moral lessons were taught through simple, agrarian parables. Animals served as clean, predictable archetypes. We all know the rules of these ancient worlds. The tortoise represents quiet persistence, the hare embodies foolish arrogance, and the starting line promises a clear lesson about pacing and humility. But those quiet agrarian symbols struggle to compete in today's hyper-stimulated attention economy. Algorithms reward the loud, the bright, and the unexpected. To keep audiences watching, digital storytellers have replaced traditional folklore settings with highly localized, intensely modern environments. These three items, the noodles, the fuel pump, and the soda, function as the new archetypes. They carry the weight of ancient lessons into a world of street stalls and railway tracks, proving that even in a digital age, the core of the fable remains unchanged. Our first artifact appears in a story centered around Durgesh Dhaba, a roadside restaurant. The establishment is run by a cowardly owner and an unreliable chef named Aman. When Aman skips work, his neurodivergent twin brother, Chaman, steps in to cook. Chaman is often mocked by the locals, and he harbors a fierce, uncontrollable temper whenever his intelligence is insulted. The restaurant suffers under intense systemic corruption. A local goon named Kalu Mama regularly threatens the owner to extort protection money, while a corrupt police constable named Rishab demands daily bribes under the guise of fake health code violations. When the goon enters the kitchen and calls Chaman retarded, the brother retaliates. He doesn't use words or traditional weapons. Instead, he grabs the restaurant's signature dish, a sizzling, flaming order of fire noodles, and hurls the burning pan directly at the attacker. The boiling food melts the goon's hair off completely, leaving him bald with thick noodles sticking to his scalp like dreadlocks. Minutes later, when the corrupt cop arrives and repeats the insult, Chaman throws a second pan, entirely incinerating the officer's mustache and sending him running in terror. The over-the-top physical comedy distracts from a deeply traditional narrative. The story uses street food violence to update the classic "don't judge a book by its cover" trope, warning the audience against dismissing an individual based solely on their outward presentation. The story ends with the owner hiring Chaman as the restaurant's full-time protector. By repurposing Chaman's volatility as a defense against extortion, the narrative demonstrates that a person's perceived weakness can become their greatest strength when the environment demands it. We move from the roadside stall to an isolated railway yard. A massive cargo train has been stalled on the tracks for 4 days due to technical issues, creating a ripe environment for opportunistic crime in the dead of night. Two petty thieves, Rohit and Kiran, sneak up to the massive engine tanks. Their entire heist strategy relies on incredibly rudimentary tools, a small plastic hose and a single 5-liter jug. They fail immediately. Rohit attempts to manually siphon the industrial diesel by sucking on the hose. The fuel shoots into his mouth, burning his throat. He spits the toxic liquid everywhere, effectively ruining their quiet operation. But the noise of their failure reveals a much larger problem. Looking under the train cars, the two thieves spot the railway watchman and a truck driver actively siphoning thousands of liters of fuel using a high-powered motorized pump. The commotion wakes the train's driver. The petty thieves point out the massive heist, allowing the police to arrest the corrupt watchman. Recognizing that their bumbling attempt inadvertently protected the entire railway network, the driver lets Rohit and Kiran go, advising them to find honest work. Here, industrial diesel serves as the vehicle for teaching proportional justice. The narrative demonstrates that massive systemic corruption is far more dangerous than small-scale desperation, while ultimately reinforcing that honest labor is the only path to genuine respect. Our final story brings us back to the wilderness, but with a modern intrusion. Human urbanization is slowly encroaching on a dense jungle ecosystem, bringing the apex predator, King Bilu the lion, into direct contact with human supplies. After hunting a human van dragger, the lion discovers a thermocol box filled with carbonated sodas. He tries one, loves the taste, and quickly develops a severe addiction, relying entirely on the sugary, gaseous liquid to help him digest his heavy meals. This visualization maps the resulting ecological collapse. We see the top apex predator node replaced by a glowing junk food node. Because the lion becomes sluggish and addicted to the sugar, he stops hunting properly. The prey animal populations explode, the vegetation is overconsumed, and the entire food web turns red and breaks down. A local sage eventually intervenes. He explains to the lion that the modern drink is destroying his physical strength and his home. The lion gives up the soda, resumes his natural biological role, and the ecological balance is restored. The image of a lion chugging a cold drink is absurd on its face, yet it functions as a precise allegory for environmental decay. It shows how introducing toxic, unnatural elements into a closed system erodes natural boundaries and invites collapse. A plate of spicy street food, a plastic hose full of diesel, a glass bottle of sugary soda. These are not the traditional tools of classic storytelling. Yet beneath the chaotic, algorithm-driven plots, the structural mechanics are virtually identical to the myths told around ancient campfires. People still rely on narrative frameworks to understand morality, justice, and the balance of power. The lessons haven't changed. Only the packaging has adapted to survive in a digital ecosystem. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit subscribe to see more content like this, and let us know in the comments, what is the weirdest moral story or bizarre cartoon you've stumbled across online? We might just decode it in a future video.